Mechanical properties. The mechanical properties among all the properties of plastic materials are often the most important properties because virtually all service conditions and majority of end-use application involve some degree of mechanical loading. Nevertheless, these properties are the least understood by most design engineers. The material selection for a variety of applications is quite often based on mechanical properties such as tensile strength, modulus elongation, and impact strength. These values are normally derived from the technical literature provided by the material supplier. More often than not, too much emphasis is placed on comparing the published values of different types and grades of plastics and not enough on the determining the true meaning of the mechanical properties and their relation to end-use requirements. In practical application, plastics are seldom means rare, if ever, subjected to a single steady deformation without the presence of other adverse effects such as environment and temperature. Since the published values of the mechanical properties of plastics are generated from tests conducted in the laboratory under standard test conditions, the danger of selecting and specifying a material from these values is obvious. A thorough understanding of mechanical properties tests employed to determine such property and the effect of adverse condition and mechanical properties over a long period is extremely important. The basic understanding of stress-strain behavior of plastic material is of utmost importance to design engineers. One such typical stress-strain load deformation diagram is illustrated in the figure 2-1. For a better understanding of the stress-strain curve, it is necessary to define a few basic terms that are associated with the stress-strain diagram. So you see this diagram. This is a typical stress-strain curve. On the x-axis there is strain and on the y-axis there is stress. So stress is nothing but force per unit area and strain is change in length upon original length. Okay. Now A, B. Still point C, everything is as the strain is increasing, the stress is also increasing, and this is happening quite linearly. But after C there is a slight increase in the strain and not that much increase in the stress. And then after the point D there is a decrease in the stress and a lot of increase in the strain, and at the point E there is breakage. So stress, the force applied to produce deformation in a unit area of a test specimen. Stress is the ratio of the applied load to the original cross-sectional area expressed in pounds per inch square. So this book is using the British system, but we are using the SI system. So instead of pound we will use kg, and instead of inch you will use meter, the kg per meter square. So this you have to understand. Okay. Now strain. The ratio of the elongation of the gauge length of the test specimen, or simply stated change in length per unit of the original length, it is expressed as a dimensionless ratio because change in length is also in meter and original length is also in meter. So the meter get cancelled out and it is a dimensionless ratio. Elongation. The increase in the length of a test specimen produced by a tensile load The first point on the stress strain curve at which an increase in strain occurs without the increase in stress. So yield point एक ऐसा पॉइंट है जहाँ पे स्ट्रेन तो इंक्रीज हो जाता है लेकिन स्ट्रेस इंक्रीज नहीं होता, ये वाला पॉइंट। स्ट्रेन इंक्रीज हो गया लेकिन स्ट्रेस इंक्रीज नहीं होता, उल्टा थोड़ी देर के बाद डिक्रीज होता है। Yield point. The first point on the stress strain curve at which an increase in strain occurs without the increase in stress. Okay. Now yield strength. The stress at which material exhibits a specified limiting deviation from the proportionality of stress to strain, unless otherwise specified, this stress will be at the yield. The stress at which a material exhibits a specified limiting deviation from the proportionality of stress to strain. Unless otherwise specified, this stress will be at yield point. So here the yield strength comes because here it is deviated from the normal stress strain graph. Because the proportionality is disturbed to stress strain. Now proportional limit. The greatest stress at which a material is capable of sustaining the applied load without any deviation from proportionality of stress strain. This is expressed in pounds per inch square. So till here there is a proportionality limit till point C. Modulus of elasticity, the ratio of stress to the corresponding strain below proportional limit of a material. It is expressed as force per unit area, usually pounds per inch square. This is also known as Young modulus. A modulus is a measure of a material stiffness. What is Young modulus? It is nothing but ratio of stress to strain. Okay, force per unit area, because strain is dimensionless. Okay, ultimate strength. The maximum unit stress a material will withstand when subject to an applied load in compression, tension or shear is expressed in force per unit inch square per area, force per unit area. So pounds per inch square. Secant modulus. The ratio of the total stress to the corresponding strain at any specific point on the stress strain curve. It is also expressed in force per unit area or pounds per inch square. The stress strain diagram illustrated in figure 2 is typical of that obtained in tension for a constant rate of loading. However, the curve obtained from other loading conditions such as compression or shear are quite similar in appearance. The initial portion of the stress strain curve between point A and C is linear and it follows Hooke's law. Hooke's law is when the proportionality is maintained between the stress strain proportional limit without any deviation from the proportionality of stress strain till point C. Which states that for an elastic material the stress is proportional to strain. The point C at which the actual curve deviates from the straight line is called the proportional limit. Meaning that only up to this point is stress proportional to strain. The behavior of plastic material below the proportional limit is elastic in nature. and therefore the deformation are recoverable. The deformations up to point B in figure are relatively small and have been associated with bending or stretching of the interatomic bonds between atoms of plastic molecules as shown in figure 2-2a. This type of deformation is instantaneous and recoverable. There is no permanent there is no permanent displacement of the molecules relative to each other. The deformation that occurs beyond the point C is similar to a straightening out of a coiled portion of molecular chain. So till here everything is fine till point B, but after the point C things get more permanent. They are not recoverable. The displaced molecules cannot slip back to their original position, and therefore permanent deformation or set occurs. These three types of deformation are shown in figure 2.2 do not occur separately but are superimposed on each other. The bonding and the stretching of the interatomic bonds are almost instantaneous. However, the molecular uncoiling is relatively slow. Molecular slippage effects are the slowest of all the three deformations. These deformations can be further explained by using mechanical model that duplicates the behavior of plastic under various external conditions. One such spring and dashpot mechanical model is known as the maximum model. It is illustrated in figure 2-3. The spring is perfectly elastic or Hookean and accounts for extensions are of three type: bond, bending, uncoiling, slippage. Okay. This is the bond bending, this is uncoiling, and this is slippage. Normal elastic behavior. So initially there is a normal elastic behavior of the spring. The spring extensions are analogous to the deformation that occur because of the bending and stretching of the interatomic bonds. Just a minute. So the word analogous comparable in certain respects is meaning analogous. So spring extensions are comparable within certain respects to deformations that occur because of bending and stretching of interatomic bonds. If a non-linear spring is substituted for a linear one, the deformations are similar to the ones occurring because of the uncoiling of portions of molecular chain. The dashpot is filled with a viscous liquid that must leak through the holes in the plunger disc before the disc can move. Extension in the dashpots are not recoverable and correspond to permanent set. They represent the result of intermolecular slippage. Many other interesting correlations can be made with the mechanical model, such as the effect of temperature on the mechanical properties of polymer. For example, at higher temperature, the viscosity of the fluid in the dashpot decreases and the plunger movement is relatively smoother, resulting in greater extension. Conversely, at lower temperature, the liquid becomes more viscous and failure occurs before appreciable extensions, similar to a brittle fracture. Other correlations involve models with different leakage rates and rate of cooling. There are many other variations of mechanical models that are discussed in detail by Rodriguez, Beer, and William. The polymeric material broadly classified in terms of their relative softness, brittleness, hardness, and toughness. The tensile stress strain diagrams serve a basis for such a classification. The area under the stress strain curve is considered as the toughness of the plastic material. Toughness area relates to area under the curve. The ability of a thermoplastic composite to absorb energy is a function of strength and ductility, which tend to be inversely related. Total absorbance energy is proportional to the area within the lines drawn to the appropriate point on the curve from the axis. Material A is rubber-like and is just as tough as material C, which is metal-like. Most plastic fall between the extremes A and B. A means types of stress strain curve, relation between ductility and strength. So, typical tensile strength curve for several polymeric soft and weak materials characterized by low modulus, low yield stress, and moderate elongation at break. PTFE is a good example of one such type of plastic material. So you can see here soft and weak PTFE. A soft but tough material shows low modulus and low yield stress but very high elongation and high stress at break. Polyethylene is a classic example of this type of plastic. So you can see here this one, soft and tough polyethylene. A hard and brittle material is characterized by high modulus and low elongation. It may or may not yield before breaking. One such type of polymer is general purpose phenolic, hard and brittle. This one. A hard and strong material has high modulus, high yield stress, usually high ultimate strength, and low elongation. Acetal is a good example of this type of material. So hard and strong this one. Now hard and tough is characterized by high modulus, high yield strength, high elongation at break, and high ultimate strength. Polycarbonate is considered a hard and tough material. Okay. Ductility and strength, figure 2-4b. The table 2-1 lists the characteristic feature of stress strain curve as they relate to polymeric property. In some application, it is important for a designer to know the stress strain behavior of a particular plastic material in both tension and compression. At relatively lower strains, the tensile and compressive stress strain curve are almost identical. Therefore, at low strain, compressive modulus is equal to the tensile modulus. However, at higher strain level, compressive stress is significantly higher than the corresponding tensile stress. This is illustrated in the figure 2-5. Stress strain tests are considered short-term tests, which means that the mechanical loading is applied within a relatively short period of time. This limits the usefulness of stress strain test. In the actual design of plastic parts, stress strain tests fail to take into account the dependence of rigidity and strength of plastic on time. This serious limitation can be overcome by use of grip and stress relaxation data while designing a part. Stress relaxation is the application of a fixed deformation of a specimen and the measurement of the load required to maintain the deformation as a function of time. That is stress relaxation. Is the application of a fixed deformation to a specimen and measurement of the load required to maintain the deformation of the component. Creep is the application of fixed load to a specimen and measurement of the resulting deformation as a function of time. So creep and stress relaxation. Characteristic feature of stress strain curve as it relates to polymer property. So description of polymer: soft weak low, soft tough low, hard brittle high, hard strong high, hard tough high. Models: yield strength, ultimate strength, elongation. The graph can give a better idea of this. Okay. Stress strain curve in tension and compression. This is the compression graph. This is the tension graph. Tensile. Okay. Effects are shown schematically in figure 2-6. This is the stress relaxation. And this is creep. Creep and cold flow behavior of plastic are illustrated in figure 2-7. This elastic deformation, then creep, then cold flow, and permanent set. As soon as the stress is applied, the elastic deformation takes place and continues till the load is removed. A substantial portion of the elastic recovery is not immediate, and the material continues to return to its original size. The material is considered to have achieved permanent set if the recovery is not complete. The magnitude of the permanent set is dependent on the stress applied, the length of the time, and the temperature of the material. This type of behavior of a polymer in creep can also be represented by a mechanical model that combines Maxwell and a Worth element in series. Okay, so this was all regarding the introduction of mechanical properties. Now let us go to the actual testing. Tensile test, ASTM D638 ISO 527-1. So this we have already done in your practicals. Okay, so I'll give you the brief idea of this in the next lecture.